Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast from Practical E-Commerce, hosted by entrepreneur Eric Bandholz.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. I hope all is well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the table from me, Jake, what's up?
How's it going?
I'm good now. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's great to be in an actual studio in Austin where our office is, so it's awesome.
About 10 years ago, it must have been pretty challenging for you as the TV commercials of Jake from State Farm came on, right? Was it?
Yeah, it was. And now I don't wear khakis at all, just to avoid that reference, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you hear it all the time still, though, right?
That's all right. It's only the third time this week.
Okay. So why don't you give our listeners a quick rundown of who you are, what you do?
Yes, my name is Jake Zaratsian. I'm a content creator at Jungle Scout. Jungle Scout is an all-in-one platform for sellers looking to get started selling on Amazon, but we also have tools for sellers that are trying to grow their brand. And then even for the larger enterprise brands, we have a tool or a software called Jungle Scout Cobalt as well. Outside of Jungle Scout, I run my own Amazon brand called Natural Events. We sell disposable palm leaf plates. And then I also do some consulting on the side for a few brands that are selling on Amazon as well. That's a little bit of my background, but primarily what I'm doing and where you would typically see me is on the Jungle Scout YouTube channel.
Yeah, YouTube content creator as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I had Greg, who's the founder of Jungle Scout, on probably like 2 or 3 years ago. It's been a while. And so it's good to have you guys back on and kind of get like a status of Amazon every once in a while. I hate Amazon.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm one of those guys, but we do sell on Amazon as well.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
Why don't we first kind of talk about like why someone needs a tool like Jungle Scout if for whatever reason they're not using it?
Yeah, the biggest use case for Jungle Scout that most sellers would, or prospective sellers would find helpful is trying to find the needle in the haystack. And what I mean by that is trying to find the product that they're eventually going to sell. That oftentimes is a huge blocker for getting started on Amazon. And we know this through reports. We actually just released a new report. It's called The State of the Amazon Seller, where we're asking current sellers what are their goals or challenges, any trends that we're trying to uncover. And one of the biggest restraints to getting started is trying to find that product. So product research is very important for new sellers. And that's what Jungle Scout is very good at doing. It allows you to really search through Amazon using advanced filters to uncover products that have good opportunities. So you can really use price point filters, you can use demand filters and look for certain sales thresholds. So maybe you only want to sell a product that is in the pet category and has 1,000 people searching for it and buying it every month. So Jungle Scout is going to help you find those products by essentially just engineering Amazon's own BSR and turning that into sales. We have a bunch of other tools as well for keyword research that is helpful once you start actually listing your product on Amazon for building your listing, and then tools that help you manage inventory and sales analytics. But most people, I would say, start using Jungle Scout for the product research, and that is most likely the main thing that we hear back from sellers is why they use Jungle Scout.
Okay, so if they're using it for, essentially market research or product research, what makes for a good product? Like, what kind of things should they be searching for?
Yeah, it's a good question because it changes so often, as I'm sure you're aware. When I first started selling on Amazon myself about 2 or 3 years ago, it hasn't changed too much, but the biggest difference I'm seeing today is you really want to find a product that you can mitigate the competition by, or that you can mitigate the competition by improving the product or just slightly tweaking it to stand out. Advertising is incredibly expensive now, and that's a huge reason that a lot of sellers are telling us their margins are shrinking over time. And one factor that really determines a good product that we like to teach on our YouTube channel is that if you can improve your product and stand out on the search results page, you can win more bids with less ad spend behind it, because there's actually a better reason to buy your product over a competitor. And so outside of I would say the more apparent factors like, high demand. You want to find a product that everybody's buying, and high profitability, a product that you can really have good margins on. So maybe over 20% as a starting point. I think improvement potential, way to make that product different, is a huge factor that we're now trying to really get out there and make sure sellers are more aware of.
So what are some of the specifics in terms of what is high volume?
In terms of demand?
Yeah. I mean, like, what is worth producing for?
In terms of sales, I think we have always started around like 300 monthly sales as like a bare bones minimum. Maybe start there. That comes from just reverse engineering where that 300 sales comes from. So 300 sales per month would be like 10 sales per day. That's a really good number to shoot for. Of course, that number would change depending on the price of your product and how much revenue you're getting back. But we like to tell first-time sellers, start at 300. You can use our filters to set that as the minimum. And then to narrow down your product ideas, maybe go 500, 1,000, and so on.
So when you have this 300 units, is that for the entire category of products currently selling on there? Or is that, just like the leading product, or what is that 300?
Good question. Yeah. So to clarify, it's more so you're just trying to find, in the very beginning, just brainstorming or collecting product ideas. And so when you're using that 300 minimum sales volume filter, you're just trying to find one product. And then you go, oh, that's a cool idea for a product to sell. Let me look at the entire niche now. And then you use the extension, the Jungle Scout extension, to see what everybody's selling, what the average monthly volume looks like. So that's more so a starting point to find product ideas. And then once you mature past having maybe a list of 10 different ideas that maybe you didn't even think about selling, you can now take that one step further and do market research on it.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just trying to like clearly understand that like 300 units. So let's talk about your palm leaf product.
Yes.
So you went into Jungle Scout and you searched for, I assumed you used Jungle Scout when you came up.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
So walk me through how you used Jungle Scout to develop this palm leaf plate idea.
Funny story on that. We were actually doing a live presentation on how to do product research. And as I was scrolling, I was in the middle of doing my own product research at home. I saw the idea and I took a mental screenshot of it, and then I found it later that night. But how sort of it came about was using these filters that I'm recommending. So starting at 300 minimum monthly sales.
So in Jungle Scout, you have just like thresholds. So you're
exactly.
like, okay. So like Jungle Scout has an algorithm that projects what these cells would be.
Exactly. Looking at, and this is way over my head, but of how it actually works, but there's a lot of sophistication and math going on to basically turn BSRs, the bestseller rank number, into sales. So yeah, that was the first filter. I wanted to find only products on Amazon that had 300 monthly sales. That still gives me hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of products in the US alone. So the next filter I wanted to do is make sure that I'm going to sell a product that is over $20. And that just comes from experience of seeing sellers or working with other brands that have these really low offered items. And there's hardly any room there on Amazon, at least. Maybe off Amazon, they can still have enough profit margin to succeed. But on Amazon, I like to find products that are at least $20. And so that was the second thing, price $20 minimum. Nowadays, I would actually probably start at 30 or 35, but at the time, 20 worked. And one big thing for me, actually, I wanted to find a consumable product. I wanted to find a way to increase my lifetime value off of a customer by having them come back and buy again and again. And a cool hack, and you can do this on most tools, but what I found really helpful in Jungle Scout is we have a includes keyword filter, essentially, where you can add any keyword there, and then it's only going to show you products on Amazon that meet all your filters and have that word in the title somewhere. And if you have a really good listing on Amazon, you should have a lot of these really relevant keywords in there. So I use the keyword disposable to start.
Okay.
And so that's how I eventually found all the products on Amazon that were disposable, had 300 monthly sales behind them, high demand, and were above a price range that I was comfortable with.
Okay. And then when you looked at this, what were some of the products that showed up?
Yeah, there's everything from napkins, plates, cups, a lot of things that you would eat on or throw away after one use. And I was looking for something like that, or something that you could use a couple times and get rid of. The one thing I wanted to avoid were the consumables like food or things that had chemicals in them. I was a little nervous about trying to make that different and stand out. Like, surely I'm not going to be able to launch a highlighter or a pen and compete with the biggest brands in the world. So I wanted to make sure I was going to find a product that was also easy to sell.
Okay. Were there currently palm leaf plates on Amazon?
Oh, yeah. Oh, plenty of them. Yes. And the biggest thing I noticed there was the amount of times it was popping up in our product database tool that I'm referencing. So I would see the palm leaf plate, one seller in particular, or one listing, I should say. And as I'm scrolling down the list, I saw it maybe 10 different times. And that kind of gave me an indication that, okay, there's a lot of these products in here. So basically the niche looks like a really good opportunity. I further verified it, but that was a good start.
And then, how do you make a palm leaf plate better? And then also, how do you get it over $20? Because to me, it seems like that'd be like 10 cents or.
Good question. So the first part of that, how to make it better, I wanted to make it better by including something. So bundling is a great way to improve the product, but I couldn't find anything that made sense. There were people selling forks and other cutlery with it, but when I actually bought those products, I wouldn't personally use them myself because they're made out of cheap wood, and every time you stick into a steak, it's going to break, or you get splinters on your mouth. That's the last thing I wanted someone to leave a negative review on my plates and say the fork gave them a splinter. So I rolled out bundling, and then what I found to be the most impactful way to improve the product was actually improving just the quality of it. That to me is one way to improve the product. And so what I did, or how I figured out how to do that, was ordered all the top competitors on Amazon. I spent I think like $300 or $400 doing so, and went out and find a supplier. And we can talk on that in maybe a little bit, but just to get a further ahead of this process, is found a supplier that kind of had a quality check done in the United States. And that was a big thing for me, is I sort of just assumed all these products were coming from China. And I wanted to find a supplier outside of China because I assumed they would have better quality. And I did. I found a supplier in India, and they actually had a warehouse in the United States where they did their quality checks there. So it was awesome. For me, I just had to buy inventory from essentially someone in the United States that really just had a storage facility. And I didn't have to deal with customs or duties and all that. And on top of that, the added benefit was they were hand checking these plates. And that to me was a huge selling point to consider them. Ordered their product as a sample, marked under the plate who it was. I just put like a check mark. That's my brand. Had my girlfriend at the time come over, had about 20 different plates on my living room table, put mine, the supplier in the middle of it. And I could tell you every single time which one was my supplier or my future suppliers. And that was just based on the feel of it, the look of it. The one thing with these palm leaf plates is that they are very natural. I mean, the way it works is palms fall from the tree, the leaf falls from the tree. And exactly how it is, that gets put into a heat press and formed into a plate. And every leaf is different. Some look a little brown, some look nice and clean and basically like a wood color, exactly what you would think. And that's essentially just what I realized, is that this supplier really does a good job of quality checking their products. My plate that I picked out every single time was because it was thicker. When we put food on it, it wasn't bending. It was the clear winner, very objective winner. And that's essentially how I realized that I could better serve this market of buyers by just giving them a better quality plate. Now, the reason why I went down that path initially was because reading the reviews, every single negative review talked about the quality. There was never one negative review about anything else. Like there's really not a lot you can go wrong with plates other than it just didn't hold up well. And that to me signaled I need to go out and find a better quality plate.
So, I mean, were they not already selling products on Amazon?
That supplier? No, they weren't. They supplied other brands I could see within Jungle Scout. So we have a supplier database tool. What I love about it is you just plug it in ASIN, and what it will try to do is find through public information who the supplier is for that ASIN. It doesn't work all the time, but sometimes it does. And I found that my supplier was supplying a few of my competitors. Okay. So I bought their products. It looked just as well as the one that I was initially wanting to buy and that I was saying looked better in my blind test. And that made me feel a little bit confident that that's what it actually looks out in the market. But yeah, that was an exciting discovery that, and a lot of people would say that's actually a fearful thing. Like they're selling. Yeah,
you have the exact same product, effectively. And so how do you differentiate between your listing and those other people who are sourcing it from the same place? Yeah,
unfortunately, I think this is something I've learned, is I wish I would have I love selling the plates, but I wish I would have thought about that a little bit more. It's just one of these lessons I learned. But it's branding. I think that's the best way I can go about it, and the best way I have gone about it. I went above and beyond in terms of my product photography. I spent more on my product photography and video than I did on my first round of inventory. And I just made sure that was I had the best looking listing on Amazon that I could do. Again, in hindsight, I probably would have actually chose a different product that I can functionally make better.
Right.
But because I was a little bit too deep into the process and I fell in love with the plates, the idea of selling them, I just pivoted into a branding improvement.
Okay. And then do you package them? What are they, like 20 packs or something like that to hit $20? Or
yes, that was the second part of that your question there. So everybody was selling 25. Some people were selling 10 packs, and the reason why is because they can price it under $20. I doubled that, and so I'm now selling a 50 pack because I knew sort of, or educated guessed who the primary target audience would be, and those would be wedding planners or people that are going to buy in bulk. And that was exciting. Again, going back to the trying to increase my LTV or average order value, I wanted to appeal to that buyer instead of a home buyer that just wanted a more eco-friendly version of their paper plates that they constantly throw out, their Dixie plates. And so that was the reason to do a 50 pack. I wanted to do a 100 pack, but I kept it at 50 just for the price range to keep it under, I think I'm around like $35 now. So significantly more than everybody else in the category for most sellers in the category. But not enough to really be a huge difference. Per plate, it's actually a better deal. But that was my strategy, was to appeal more to those bulk buyers.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously it's a side business for you. So yes. It's kind of like you just keep an eye on it, or once you get it on, once you get everything set up, is it just kind of leaving it on autopilot, or are you trying to buy ads for it too? Yeah,
I did do a really aggressive first year. So I scaled it up to 6 figures in my first year in revenue. Plan to lose a lot of that in getting my first reviews, or really all the reviews I had at the time. This last year, just priorities have switched around. I actually have taken on a consulting opportunity that pays the bill. So I have to, I want to take my time and spend more time there. I recently got engaged, so my whole life has been upside down. I got a puppy as well. What else have I done differently in the past year that's changed my life? But those have been some new responsibilities I've taken on that shifted my priorities. So for now, I'm more so leaving it to just run by itself.
Okay.
Spend maybe a couple hours working on it and dedicate all my other free time to the consulting.
How were you able to get reviews in those early days? Is that?
Yeah, the Amazon Vine program was a help. The only thing I would say I wish I would have done differently is use product inserts. I rushed to the market to get it out there because I assumed more people saw what I saw in Jungle Scout. And so I rushed to get it out there, didn't put a product insert in there. That probably would have got me more reviews. But I just really relied on Amazon's auto email message. Jungle Scout can automate it. We have a tool called Review Automation that just automates the literal action of pressing the button in Seller Central. For those who aren't aware, that's what you have to do to manually request a review on Amazon, is go into Seller Central and press that review. So Jungle Scout just automates that. But that's the only way I got my reviews. Again, I kind of, in hindsight, wish I would have put a product insert in there.
Okay. What kind of review rate are you getting, or what kind of expectations should people have for getting reviews?
That's a good question. Another learning that I figured out that I want to consider with my next product is these Palmly plates, the review rate is very low. And what I think that has to do with is, and this is true for my competitors too, in the extension, Jungle Scout, and any other extension, you can see the history of any product's review count. And I looked at even the top competitors in the niche, and they were hardly getting any reviews over a year. So last year, they were hardly getting any reviews. And that was true for my product. It took me a full year to get 72 reviews, and I was just like dumbfounded by it. I was like, why aren't people reviewing plates? And I think it's an obvious answer. Would you review a plate? Would you go home and be like, I love this plate that I put my French toast on, and take a picture of it and put it on Amazon and tell the whole world about it? I would say no. I personally wouldn't review my plates. It doesn't make me excited. But the product that we sell at Jungle Scout, we sell washable pee pads for dogs. It's under our Jungle Creations brand. That is a category that people have probably a photo on their camera roll with their dog on the pee pad, especially if it's their first time peeing on the pee pad. You're jumping up and down. You're like, yay, they didn't pee on my floor or the couch. They peed on the pee pad that I bought. That's a product that you're more excited to review. And so my learning, to circle back, is...
I don't know, man. I kind of disagree. I feel like with plates and food, like you could have like chefs and just like all these kind of, like you said, weddings are big events where people are taking pictures.
Good point. Yes.
Of that.
And I think that's where a product insert would have helped. I think I would have, going back in the future, I would love to have put a call to action to send us your, where you used it. Show us what your wedding plate looked like, and really appeal to the emotions of people using it for other than like their home use.
Yeah.
And so, good point. I think that's more so, it is a category finding. It is something that I want to consider for my next product, is finding products that are easier for people to leave a review on. But it's a good point. You can always do more to get more reviews.
So you said Jungle Scout has a dog pee pad.
Yes.
Do they include an insert in that as well?
No, we have not. And it's funny because we tell people to do it. We just haven't done it ourselves. The biggest thing that we probably get our reviews from is just by people wanting to leave a review. Like we don't do any social media on the brand just because limited time working on what we really need to be working on at the companies, which is our content or any videos that we produce. But no, that's probably a next step that we do need to do is put in a product insert, but they all just come naturally.
Yeah. So is that just a bigger market for that product versus the plate product?
Yes. And for a really good comparison here, I got 72 reviews in my first year selling palm leaf plates. We got 500 reviews in the first year selling the pee pads for dogs. Interestingly enough, the sales were pretty close. I did about just over six figures, over $100,000 in sales on the palm leaf plates, and our pee pads did a little bit over that. Not much. It wasn't even double. It was in the same vicinity. But insanely different review count, and we didn't do anything different across the board. There's no product inserts on either. There's no social media.
Similar
on either.
Price pad, or
exact same price, about $35. Yes, and that to me, again, very limited, small scope of experience on this idea is that maybe in the future I should look at review rate and different product opportunities.
Yeah, interesting. Where is Amazon going in the future? Like, what do sellers need to be aware of?
I think one of the biggest things I want to focus on, and where I think a lot of sellers would really gain some benefits thinking about this more, is how much inventory you send into Amazon and how fast you're able to get that inventory into Amazon. Amazon's obviously have like their long-term storage fees that seem to continue going up, or adding new rules to the mix where it used to be like 9 months, now it's 6 months or 3 months even. But now they also are starting to penalize you for not having enough inventory in. And to me, I think it's just even more important now to consider Amazon not as a storage facility, but what they are as a fulfillment center. And so what I think would be really important to focus on for myself, for other sellers, is how can you order more rounds of inventory, but less inventory of? So that way you're not paying these long-term storage fees, or really just having inventory sitting in Amazon, especially during Q4 when costs go up 3 times. That actually is what's been killing myself and some of the brands that I've worked with, is Q4 storage fees can really tank your profitability on Amazon throughout the year. That to me is something I want to work on a little bit more.
Okay. So you got to keep an eye out on the operational side of things. Inventory management is always a drag. Do you feel like the sales volume is pretty consistent to be able to project that out and plan for that?
Yeah, if you're just selling on Amazon and you have a couple years of data, I do think you can predict that pretty well with some of the new tools that are out there. Jungle Scout has a tool called Inventory Manager. Seller Central's adding new tools to help you figure out and see past year seasonality. So it is more helpful now than it was before. If you're just getting started selling on Amazon, that's sort of a black hole. But I do think there's definitely more tools out there to help you look back and see what your product has done typically during any time period. But also in Seller Central, you can see like what your category typically does over time. And that's why tools like Seller Central that are, they're not free, you pay for it with your professional plan, but those are very helpful. And then tools like Jungle Scout, where you can see a category of products and track their demand over time, would go a long way in you forecasting your inventory. Yeah.
So we have a lot of sellers who are doing 7 figures and above on Amazon. You talked about Cobalt. What is the difference between Cobalt and using Jungle Scout to kind of find products?
Yeah. So for those who are unaware, Jungle Scout, we have our flagship of products, and that's primarily what we've been talking about today. Product research tools, keyword research, listing builder tools, AI tools. All that is the Jungle Scout flagship product that most people know and understand. We also have a whole enterprise leg of the business called Cobalt, and that is a more of an advanced tool for these 7-8 figure sellers or brands that are looking for a little bit more data presented to them in a different way that suits their needs. There's also some advertising automation that Cobalt provides, helping you achieve a better ACOS or ROAS and automating your bids to try to meet those targets. So Cobalt, is more so for somebody trying to automate their business and get more data presented to them how they need to. So there's a lot of customization that can go on there. You can create your own dashboards versus where a flagship tool or Jungle Scout flagship tool sort of is set in a certain way. Cobalt is more customizable towards your needs.
Yeah. What kind of investment is this in terms of, I guess, both plans?
I don't know the Cobalt side of it. So the Cobalt side, you reach out to somebody and you can figure out what you need. I believe that's the model.
Okay.
I don't do too much work on that side of things. But for the flagship Jungle Scout products, we have prices as low as $29 a month to our highest plan being around, I think it's $89 a month on the annual plan. And that gets you everything you need. But for a lot of sellers that are using, a lot of sellers that I've talked to have tech stacks. And so I think that's a very popular way of using software tools where you have a product research tool for that purpose. You have a tool for just keyword research tool, a tool just for inventory management. A lot of sellers are trying to consolidate their other costs, their operating cost. And I think that's what Jungle Scout does very well is we are an all-in-one tool. We don't do everything equal. So our product and keyword research tools, I think are like world class. That's why people use Jungle Scout. It's what we continue to invest more energy on to improve. But if you're looking to consolidate your tech stack, Jungle Scout's a great option because we have so many different tools that you can use all in one.
Yeah. What about for brands that kind of sell on multiple channels? What kind of strategies do you see are most successful for people who just sell on Amazon?
Yeah, this is a interesting question. I mentioned it earlier. We did a survey of over 2,000 Amazon sellers, asking them kind of how they ran their business last year. What are their goals for next year? What are some trends that we can glean from last year that we can take into this year? And that's it's called State of the Amazon Seller. If you're looking for it, it's on our website, junglescout.com. But what we found in there is that for those selling off of Amazon, they're primarily investing time into TikTok Shop, which is very surprising to me. It seems like a blue ocean, but at the same time, it's so new that I don't know that I would actually launch there yet. But seeing a decent amount of sellers wanting to launch there was pretty eye-opening to me and makes me excited to learn more about it.
We did a podcast with Paul BK Beauty, and he was doing like bonkers amount of sales on TikTok shops.
It's not surprising.
We tried it at Beard Brand and we sold like $25 worth.
Okay.
So it's like, I think there is like a full gambit that it really does depend on your product, your market, your audience, and who you're going
And
after.
did you guys do TikTok Shop as a brand, or were you going the affiliate route?
Yeah, as a brand.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have just all of our grooming products, and
Right.
And we would try to reach out to affiliates as well.
Yeah.
And try to get them to create content on our behalf.
I'm curious about that side of things, because that's something else we found out in this report, is that a lot of brands are now trying to just really invest more money into people. That the idea basically that the younger generation, they want to buy from a person, not a brand. And so when you can get your product in the hands of affiliates, whether that's through a paid program that you got or a partnership you got with them, or it's just through organically, like they're promoting your product in the TikTok Shop because they can get commission off of it. I think that's a very powerful way of, one, getting more traffic to Amazon, outside traffic, which Amazon loves, and they'll reward you so much for doing so, and to obviously increase your profit margins. You're not paying for that if you can do it organically.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in hearing how that goes next.
I think it's brilliant, but for anyone who's ever sold on TikTok, it's just a giant clusterfuck.
Okay.
Like it's your products are getting taken down all the time. They're banning your account. They're shutting things down. They're flagging it. Like literally every day, something's getting flagged.
Like Amazon.
No, Amazon feels like a well-oiled machine compared to TikTok is just like a madhouse. But if you can kind of like suffer through that, because like with Amazon, it seems like there's at least some like rhyme or reason.
Okay.
Whereas TikTok is just like whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's the wild, wild west.
Or at least from our experience, I should say.
Interesting.
So you see sellers going on to TikTok shops, any on their own domains. Is that, or I always found that like Amazon first sellers seem to be very incompetent at selling on their own domain.
Yeah, that's starting a new Amazon brand is always hard itself. It's super nice when you can just say, I'm just going to only do Amazon, because they are going to basically do everything that I can't do. Because one thing that we found out, or we continue to find out through these reports, is more than half of the people that we survey do Amazon on the side, or they do something else on the side. So this is a side business. They don't have time to get up their own Shopify website and fulfill their own orders, work with a 3PL, make sure that everything looks good and executes well. So for people looking to get started, I do think the FBA model is great just to focus all of your energy on. And then once you grow and you're sort of validating your product, then maybe look at expansion if that's your goal, to continue growing this business. And whether your plan is to exit or your plan is just to start something that now you can do for the rest of your life. I do think that's the way to go long term, but short term, I think starting on Amazon is still king.
Yeah, and I think we have some small smaller businesses and brands who listen to this show, or people who maybe are wanting to get into e-commerce. And you think about it, like, it's easy for me to forget, like 12 years in, what those early days are. But yeah, if you currently have a full-time job and you can make an extra $500 or $1,000 a month with just a couple hours of work a week, that pays for a car,
Absolutely.
like that pays for a number of dates out. So it can like really enhance your life in a positive way without an incredible amount of work.
One of the ways I forget who I heard this from originally, who planted the seed in my mind, but the idea of building an asset on Amazon is very much like building an asset in real estate in the real world. But the only difference is you don't have to go out and buy property and hire somebody to build it. You obviously have to do a lot of work to build your asset on Amazon, to build up your listings, to build up your brand, but you are building an asset on Amazon. And so if you can have that long-term mentality that just like if I were to own real estate, one day I could sell it, or it's just going to be worth a lot more than it is now. I think that's a very powerful mindset going into it, because you're not thinking about, I need to pull money out of it right away. I need to, I have tuition that I have to pay for, student loans I have to pay for. While Amazon's certainly great for that, I do think the more of the long-term play is the way to go. Just so you're not pulling your hair out every day that you're looking at your sales and you're like, it's not enough to quit my job yet. The profit is not enough to pull out and even supplement what I'm doing at scale. So yeah, I do love that long-term play and thinking about it like essentially virtual real estate.
Yeah. And like, with Fulfilled by Amazon, you never have to touch your products.
Yeah.
With how is customer service handled? I guess, do you have to handle that? Do tickets come in, or is that all handled by, I guess the returns and all that are handled by Amazon? That's
a good part. Yeah. They'll do most of it. And then only if, there's a customer question that you'll have to come in manually and, act there. And depending on the size of your business, at Jungle Scout, we sell with our P-pads, I would say at low end 400 units a month. And so we do get a lot of interaction with customers, but we are rarely in there talking with them. What's nice is we're seeing a lot of sellers use AI to help them with those messages, whether you're using something like ChatGPT or any other tool to just craft those responses back to them. Could save you a lot of time if that's something that you don't want to do yourself.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. What else should I know about Amazon?
What else is there to know about Amazon? Yeah, I think in
2024, I should say.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what's we talked about it a little bit, but I think, and this is not directly answering your question, but content is so powerful off of Amazon, of course, but on Amazon. We're seeing a lot of sellers starting to utilize, and consumers, the Amazon Inspire tab, which is, if you're aware of it or unaware of it, I should say, it's a lot like TikTok, except it's for people that are looking for products to buy. Like that's your intention on scrolling the vertical feed that is Amazon Inspire.
It's on the mobile app?
It's on the mobile app.
Okay, so it's called Amazon Inspire. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, Amazon Inspire. It's one of the first tabs on the left-hand side, and essentially it's really just like TikTok, but every video has a product link to it that you can click and buy it. And that to me is a untapped, more of like a blue ocean right now. There's certainly people doing it, sellers, but it's mostly affiliates and influencers doing it, but not the brands themselves. And that to me is such a low friction way of getting your product in customers, whether it's like their actual shopping cart or like their favorite of the list, because they're looking for products to sell. They're okay with you being very like.
Do you have to pay to put your stuff on there?
No,
or is it just organic?
Yeah, it's all organic. You as a brand can make content for it. You can post it as your brand. You can obviously hire or organically.
How long are the videos?
It's a good question. I don't know, but they're around the TikTok length of like, I believe it can go up to like a minute or two. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that to me is one of these ways that like if you are already doing content off of Amazon, just bring it to Amazon. And now you're at the bottom of the funnel where people are just, they have their wallets out. And if you put content in front of them, you'll at least be considered for a sale that would be completely organic. Yeah. That you don't have to pay for.
Do you upload these through the desktop or do you have to do it through a mobile app?
You know what? I think you can do both. Yeah, okay. I believe you can do both. And then, what's great is those videos. So if an affiliate is doing it on your product, that video can live on your listing as well. Okay. So their intent isn't just to put it out there on the Inspire feed. Their intent is to put it on their storefront. And that video then gets picked up in the Inspire shopping feed.
What is the strategy for effectively getting the most views on Inspire? Is it similar to like traditional organic content production?
Yeah, exactly. And you are speaking the same language as TikTok. You aren't you're trying to do a good produced video, but at the same time, you don't need to entertain as much. You just need to explain, almost like a live presentation of what you're doing would be really effective on Inspire.
And then, so people are just on there scrolling up and down. How many views are a reasonable expectation for a successful piece of content on there?
I actually don't know that answer. I don't know enough or have seen enough back-end analytics on some brands that are doing this. That would be a really good data point to collect. But yeah, I don't know. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much Amazon gives out on that front.
Okay.
I'd have to
are they
check.
sharing that information? Are they sharing likes and stuff like that?
They're sharing likes. That's public. But on the back end, that's a good question. I'm not sure how much they're sharing. I know that's a complaint amongst a lot of influencers on Amazon is they wish they had a little more data. So hopefully over time, Amazon will incentivize content creation by sharing that data with you.
Okay. Well, I've never heard of that. I'm pretty excited because we have a ton of content that we've produced over the years. Throw it up on there and see if we can get some organic sales instead of paying for everything.
Love to hear how that goes. I mean, again, it's like it's easier as a content creator, I think, or even if you're not a content creator, because you are able to sell to somebody. They're on Amazon. They're not there to be entertained. They're there to learn about products.
The store is right there.
Exactly.
Where can people follow you, support you, tweet at you?
Yeah. If you're interested personally, LinkedIn is a great way to find me at Jake Zaratsian, or on Instagram.
How do you spell your last name?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's Armenian heritage. So it's Zaratsian. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, but more importantly, you can find Jungle Scout on YouTube. You can go to our website, junglescout.com, and learn more about some of the reports that I mentioned. They're all free to download. If you wanted to find those reports, just go to the resource tab and you can download them all. We have a bunch of reports in there. So junglescout.com or our YouTube channel, Jungle Scout.
We got to get you on X. That's where all the D2C is at, man.
You know what? I'm there. I'm just more so talking about my sports teams.
Okay. Well, you got to follow some great e-com people because it's really a great community.
Awesome.
This has been another E-commerce Conversations. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks, Jake.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Keep on growing.